want you to, I want you to interview everyone in the entire building, especially those on the upper and lower
I guess the first question that comes to mind is, why did I kill myself? And the truth of the matter is, I didn't. I was making a chicken sandwich, and some guy busts in and shoots me in the head. He put a gun there in a vain attempt to make it look like suicide. And then to top it off, he walks out with my VCR. I'm kind of ticked off about that. One thing I should mention is that I'm not in heaven or hell, but take my word for it, because they both exist in one form or another. And so does purgatory, for that matter. And that's where I am. If you really think about it, and I have, death offers two distinct advantages. For one, it's the ultimate opportunity to reflect back on your life, analyze the meaning of your existence, possibly write a dictionary about it. And for another, and on a more significant level, you're reunited with some of your dead relatives. That's Uncle Buster. He was an Arab sheik. He was actually born in Shakutami. He had a few personal problems. This was during my religious period, which coincided with First Communion. I was deeply devoted to God for about 2 weeks afterward, and then the novelty wore off. That's Granddad Gus. He used to live with our family. I got relegated to sleeping on the couch because my parents graciously offered him the use of my bed, and he graciously accepted. I'd like to point out here that at no time was I ever consulted. Aside from sleeping, another thing he did in my bed was die there. He had a massive stroke and passed away in the middle of the night. Turned out that when death came knocking, it must have knocked pretty hard because it scared the shit out of him, literally, while he was graciously sleeping in my bed. Anyhow, we buried him and my parents bought me a new bed. This was during my full frontal nudity period. You'll notice that at the time I was a little self-conscious about the size of my penis. And my sisters realized that they didn't have one at all, and that kind of pissed them off for a while. At one point they were considering ganging up and taking mine, and I used to tease them about not being able to grow their own. Eventually they decided they were better off without one. And to take matters further, at one point they suggested that my father and I have ours removed in order to ensure greater continuity within the family. This was another phase, my athletic period. I had this incredible yearning to be a jock. I figured Beliveau at center, Lafleur on right wing, and Parkinson on left, but it never really materialized. And then my coach threatened to bench me because I was afraid to go into the corners and body check for the puck. And one game I finally gathered up the courage and went for it. That's what led to my 90-degree angle period. For a while there, I could only relate to things at right angles. I think it took a high school geometry course to finally straighten me out. I guess a lot of people in Canada have an American cousin, and here's one of mine, Ronald. He joined the Navy right out of high school, and a few years later he died in a plane crash in Florida. He was just finishing a leave, and his plane was forced to turn back and make an emergency landing, and it crashed on the runway. His parents had just driven him to the airport, and they saw the whole thing from the parking lot. He was their only son. And of course we have Mom and Dad, who are both still living, but not together. They separated some time ago. I think the trouble started around 1970, during the heydays of the FLQ movement here in Quebec. My father personally blamed my mother for the entire October crisis because she's French-Canadian. His idols in life are John Wayne and Winston Churchill. I remember he used to say that the problem with my generation was that we never had our own war to fight in. I joined Boy Scouts because I figured I was officer material. My mother's idols in life are all those soap opera stars, guys with names like Dirk and Cliff. You know, the type that usually look like Apollo or something. And of course, like most mothers, her son could do no wrong in her eyes, which really saved me on a couple of occasions. He visits every Sunday, and They usually watch television all afternoon. Just as a footnote, they have this committee here that decides whether your soul goes to heaven or hell. And usually your guardian angel will serve as defense attorney. Sometimes you're put on probation, which means a prolonged stay in purgatory, and then an appeal committee and pile of bureaucratic nonsense. And purgatory, by the way, is basically a 3.5 with a lousy view.